Undead, barely living, those with sore feet, all of you who are hungry, how are we?
Well, thank you for joining us today, sir.
Very nice to be here, thank you.
And so I'm going to start off with a couple questions for you, and then we're going to hand it off to the audience. So you've worked in a ton of genres at this point in your career. You've done everything. What's your favorite, and what pulls you to a project and gets your interest? Because you've done so many different things there. Vlad, that was fantastic.
Thank you. You never know what someone likes or what they pull out. It's so interesting to be at this kind of phase in a career. I feel blessed to have worked this long and consistently and with such variety, thank you. Because you find there's something for everyone. Which is why I've really enjoyed starting to do these cons and meet the fans. It's like real-time live analytics, and you get to know what makes, just what resonates. So for me personally, genre-wise, I like comedy, and inevitably I think I find comedy in every film I do, or the humor in the characters.
You got that little twinkle in your eye when you're doing them.
Well, it's not really as much a wink to the lens as the even in the tragedy of a character. I just think it's fundamentally it's in all of our makeup. I find we are all things, right? So. But that is very present in me, and when I try to bring as much truth to the characters and myself in real, in the moment, that part of me comes out perhaps most evidently, even in the most harrowing of situations. I can't help but perhaps
laugh.
Well, not laugh, but reflect the, perhaps an absurdist, take upon what is going down. Titanic, the boat is sinking, Cal is just like, it's what, my girlfriend's with that dude, that's funny to me, but it's incredibly poignant and true to his very single-minded, frailty, really, and kind of character flaws. But it's funny to watch. He doesn't realize that dang thing's underwater till he's like, up to his boobs in it. And he's just like, whoa, Jesus, that's cold. What's going on?
So, kind of speaking to that absurdist event, I discovered a film you did called I Woke Up Early the Day I Died.
Oh, yes.
What got you interested in doing an unfilmed, never filmed Ed Wood script? And just that entire film is crazy. I loved it.
Thank you.
And how did you walk in those heels?
Yeah. Darn good question. Allow me to explain.
For those that haven't seen it.
That was loaded. I was in the final maybe the 6th month of filming Titanic, and it was, certainly felt ever the A-list, super production, and I'm a creature of counterpoint and antidote programming. I wanted something, radical and indie and punk rock to just kind of shake it, off and balance, much to the dismay of my representation. Career suicide, kind of, but just like it felt right? Never listen to those instincts. These are professionals who are paid to guide you for good reason. However, I am very proud of that particular film because dear friends of mine at Muse Productions, Chris and Roberta Hanley, who I had made a film with prior called This World and the Fireworks, with Cheryl Lee of Twin Peaks and Gina Gershon. Another unmakeable movie by Jim Thompson, who wrote, what was the film that Jason Patrick was in? Help me out. What was it? No. He was the limo driver. Great film. Jim Thompson adaptation. Yeah. He was wonderful and he's great and everything. Whatever.
IMDb.
Anyway, Jim Thompson, Pulp Fiction, great author, but he wrote a book called This World and the Fireworks that couldn't be published. It was a Greek tragedy about matricide and incest in post-war America, and they were like, what the hell is that? Are you insane? But it was like if it was in ancient Greece, it would have made sense, and it would have been written by, Aeschylus or something. But it was never publishable, and finally was. And then Sam Fuller tried to make it, and it was never filmable. And then finally it was, and we made it, and it's badass and beautiful and lyrical. Check it out, This World and the Fireworks. Anyway, these producers who also brought us Virgin Suicides and Buffalo 66 and some of the coolest indie, grooviest movies are my dear friends, and they brought me this script, which was an unproduced screenplay by Ed Wood, which was a silent film on top of it, and was virtually stolen by a filmmaker named Arisa Leopoulos, who, kind of wooed it, romanced it, didn't steal it, he romanced it from Eddie's widow, convinced her to let him make it or have it, and then, a fire broke out at his home, and it's the only thing he grabbed, it was the only copy, it has this insane history, and he rescued it, and they decided to make it. And they brought it to me, and I thought, well, this is genius. I was raised on silent film. I was trained in commedia dell'arte and physical comedy, and I was working with this theater troupe in Chicago that Tim Robbins started at UCLA like 40 years ago, that John Cusack worked with, and Piven, and Jack Black was like, started in, and his whole style is indicative of what we call the style. It's called the Actors Gang. Look them up if you ever get to LA, see their shows. Everyone's brilliant out of this company. I was blessed to have sharpened my teeth on that process right before I did Dead Calm, and was, equally responsible for a lot of that kind of crazy scenery chewing. Anyway, I was like really kind of sharp on my physical work, and then I was like, yeah, I want to do a silent, crazy-ass, John Waters meets Buster Keaton movie, like Ed Wood. And my agents were like, no, I was like, in slow motion, you could just like, no, do. I was like, yeah, this is a good idea. It was like, and we did it, and I produced it, and kind of ghost directed it when we kind of finished it in post, and hired Dodie Dorn, who edited Memento prior to that, and went on to other amazing things. And we put all sorts of crazy things, and I put my fee back in to pay for all the insanely expensive music. And this movie was just beautiful and chaotic, and we have cameos by everybody. I hope you're Googling this right now to see the cast.
Bud Cort smells your shoes.
Bring it up.
Bud Cort.
No, just give me a list. Give me a cast. Ron Perlman,
Ron
Bud
Perlman's
Cort,
in it, Bud
Sandra
Cort.
Bernhardt, Tippi Hedren,
Everybody.
John Taylor Thomas, River and Rain Phoenix, Vampira, Lurch, Sam Perlich, everybody.
Everybody's in this movie.
Everybody.
It's like this.
Everyone wanted to make a silent film, macabre, crazy, badass movie. And I look like, I don't know, I've got this crazy wig that look like DJ Dimitri or Bjork with these buns and this shade out. And it's just, I don't know.
He's wearing a nurse's costume.
And I escape a mental, or high heels. I escape a mental institution in a nurse's outfit, okay? And you gotta wear drag to escape a mental institution.
In like what, 6-inch stilettos?
They were giant drag stilettos made for a fella. They didn't hurt. They were kind of good for the calves. Just saying. Whatever floats your boat.
So I know everybody, probably just like me, one of our favorite movies that you've ever done was Demon Night. And you just rocked, stole, devoured that movie. You took it over, and you were fabulous as the collector. You just were great. I want to know what kind of history you created in your mind for that character, because he was such a fantastic character. Did you create your own mythology for him? Where he came from, how long you've been doing it?
That's such a lofty way of describing the process. Thank you. Yes, I created a mythology for this character. I really spent a lot of time working on that. I ensnared a cadre of professors from a number of institutions to contribute.
Very cerebral influence.
It was a very, firstly, it's probably my favorite working experience because it was so fun and that ensemble is insane. And it was like theater because we were, locked in this hotel and got to bounce off each other all the time. It was just wonderful. The role was initially not as, shall we say, colorful on the page. And kind of day one, I started to take some liberties just to test the waters. And that little comedy thing kind of came out again. I will bring us back to that first question, or that first point, just to feel it out. And, no one really said anything or stopped me, and I just kind of kept pushing to test the waters a little farther, and kept going a little farther, and I was like, really? You're gonna let me go there? Okay, I'll go a little farther still, and I was like, yeah, well that did, they let me go. They just let me go full on free reign, and I was like, okay. And kind of improvised most of that character, a lot of it, really. And it was a great pleasure. I had, a wonderful director. It was a collaboration. It wasn't just a free-for-all. It was all by all means structured, but it was very generous on their part and very trusting. And it was certainly in service, but that's very disconcerting.
Just ignore him. He goes away. He'll go away.
I don't know. Where would they be going?
You would be surprised how often
and
this happens.
He's still going. My God, that's our sound mixer.
Welcome to HorrorHound Weekend.
Have you noticed he has no ears? Isn't that interesting?
Oh, he does.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
He does have ears. So sorry. Thank God. Too bad we're not in Smell-O-Rama. Anywho, it was a ride. It was a lot of improv. But what did inspire me, just prior to that, I believe Aladdin, Disney's Aladdin had come out in theaters, and the one inspiration was Robin Williams and his take on the genie. I thought what was really interesting was the facility of being able to have supernatural powers and pull from the universe to make a point. And I thought, this is great. Can I employ the same device, you know, to do so? At which point, can we turn this into a disco? Can we make a dance party? Do you need, I gotta clean that? Can I have props? Can I get a sponge? Wash it first, please. They were like, yeah, whatever you need. I was like, probably the prop truck slowly grew, ready for anything by the time we were done. But it was basically, why can't he pull from, anything in the moment to make his point? So the mythology was, Disney on acid.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm going to hand it out to our very full room. Oh my God, we packed it. There she is. Please raise your hands and she will come to you.
I remember you.
Hi. Nice to see you again.
Tracy?
Emily.
Emily,
Close.
like I said.
It's okay.
Emily.
It's okay. Yeah, Tracy's fine.
What are the why?
Yeah. I have a question about Titanic. There is a scene where Kate Winslet spits in your character's face. I'm just wondering how that scene happened. Like, did she actually spit in your face, or like, how did you shoot that scene? No kink shaming.
No worries. Thanks for taking me back to Titanic. It was, well, you can imagine, we do a lot of takes in movies to make sure you get it right. And I can't remember the number. I've been quoted. Someone remember it offhand? It was like 16 or 26, something with 6. It was a lot. And of course she got dry. So she ended up using, I think, KY, which was kind of... Yeah, I felt worse for her. I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's like, hey, thanks. But she's like, I'm like, good luck with that. Get it out, honey, just get it out. He's going, I'm good, go, yell action. I wouldn't, I'd rather catch. Just saying.
Good luck asking anything now.
Do you name whenever the sponge come out of your mouth?
Yeah.
Did that just take one take, or is that...
I don't remember how many times we did it. I think it worked so darn well they couldn't believe it. It was very effective. You're all going to try this at home now. Wash it first. They put all sorts of weird stuff on it. We had to really wash it to get the stuff, to get whatever the hell's up. The protective, film off of it, because they don't really expect you to put it in your mouth. But it's amazing how far that'll crush down. And all you gotta do is just open up, and boy, that'll just pop right out like a ding. There it is. And it's so funny. No matter how many times you see it, it makes me laugh. Yeah, it's just a couple takes there, fortunately.
Is there a movie that you turned down that you really wish now that you would have taken, and if so, what was it?
That's a good question. I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's kind of a similar, I can give you a similar answer. There was a movie that someone had asked me recently about a movie I didn't get, that I was up for, that could have changed the course of one's life, but I have no regrets. I don't know what that would have meant, but that was, I was down to the final 4 with Sarah Jessica for Dirty Dancing, and that would have been a weird one. Johnny Castle, like what? With a sponge coming out of it. Nobody puts junk in the car. I get that for you.
Dirty Dancing,
Very dirty dancing. Very dirty. You get that. Sorry. No, I don't know. I don't know what I passed on.
I got a question. We know you were amazing in The Phantom. Hey, give it up for The Phantom. With the just massive glut of comic book movies coming out right now, if you had your druthers and could be in one, like, you pick, what one would it be? What character would you like to take a crack at?
Phantom 2.
Hey!
I didn't know.
I mean, I don't know. I like Kit Walker. I think I think I love him because he was super humane, not superhuman. And he was a happy hero. You know, didn't have issues. He had animal friends.
I like that answer.
Yeah, it was cool. You know what I mean? Well-adjusted. Lived in a cave, had a girlfriend. Man cave, girlfriend. Wolf, horse, what's the problem? I'm just like, this guy's cool. He's happy, he's good. No powers, you know. All right, the ring, but like, the guy, it was a family business, and, you know, he was honorable, well-adjusted. It's cool. I would, you know, I'm a real fan of, you know, I like a white hat hero. I love John Wayne. I love, you know, I feel we need to, you know, I think it's all about differentiation. At a certain point, we needed to depart from that and take on the anti-hero and blur the line between, you know, villain and hero. But you know, I think we've stepped on that for like long enough. Jeez. Right? And now it's like, and tech, like enough tech. It's like, let's, you know, go back to, or fight scenes that are like, you know, just arm breaks for the love of God. Can we just, like, you know, a good old roundhouse. Remember, you know, like violence without, violence wasn't even brought into the subject matter in fight scenes in the past. It just didn't come into play. Where there's no, if we can have action without the, you know, moral or emotional baggage to not have to process in real time, or we can just kind of move on with it, which I think was called adventure, if I'm not mistaken. I think we've lost a whole genre. You know, I'd like to see the return of adventure. You know, a little less heavy lifting by the audience. You know, I think we need more of that.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you mentioned a lot of big names, John Wayne, Buster Keaton, and
Who's
so forth.
talking?
I'm talking.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I did. Where are you?
God?
And I knew you were a woman.
Last I checked, yes.
And she liked John Wayne. I love you.
We'll talk later, babe. So I was wondering, what films growing up, what films and actors inspired you? And then in today's movies, what actors and films have inspired you?
In the past, Gene Kelly takes the cake. You know, not only just like an insane physical specimen who was just, you know, capable of just wild personal special effects, just like an acrobat and a technician beyond compare. You know, a lot of the films from the MGM canon under the Freed unit were just magical, and you know the work ethic was crazy good, and it was just about talent, crazy talent, vaudeville talent, who were good enough to be in movies, and specialty acts. But boy, Gene Kelly, triple threat, handsome as hell, but you know, sing, dance, choreographer, director. His movies were just, you know, uplifted you. Chaplin, likewise, the message of Chaplin, who humanized the, you know, the working classes
The great dictator was
and
amazing.
thumbed his nose at tyranny at a time, you know, during, and cautioned us the Industrial Revolution, you know, and just that crazy hum. The service of those incredible performances that reminded us of the role and the responsibility of storytelling. And really elevate, like, what's the point? Escapism's great, great effect, whoa, watch that, you know. Great storytelling, what's the point? So, you know, movies that can, you know, stir the heart, shape your moral fiber, remind you of, you know, what it means to be a social contract, to be a, you know, not only like a, you know, a good citizen, but like, you know, good parent, good brother, good father, good son. Like these things that we're all capable of being and are, you know, the superhero within. It sounds corny, and to talk this shit at a horror con might seem, I get it, but you know, the one thing, I got your number, the thing about horror, you know what's crazy about death? The love you have. I've never seen more life in this house. That's what I love about it. I swear, you can applaud, you deserve it, you all deserve it. I never understood it. I never understood it. And it's, upon attending horror cons, it's such a strange counterpoint. There's such, the celebration of death is just this curious appreciation of life. It's this exercise of life, or this expression of life that, you know, your adoration of death. It's so interesting to me, and I celebrate it and commend you.
I think part of that comes from the fact that in a lot of these films, they defeat it.
Yeah.
And you keep, it inspires.
And defy it, and you know, I don't know. I think it's so interesting. But within these mythologies, and within these stories, and within the new stories, as now everyone's a filmmaker. No one's going to movies because everyone's making them, right? You're all at home. You're all editing your own films, right? You're all filmmakers, I'm sure, by now. You know, everyone's got a damn laptop and an iPhone. It makes you a filmmaker. Anchor it in purpose, and that's how you differentiate and make something meaningful. You know, use all the trappings that make it cool and beautiful, but you know, I think a lot of many current offerings have lost the rudder and their way because they've lost the fundamentals of storytelling and the reason behind. Now I go back to the ancient Greeks. What was the function? The function was to, you know, inform society, thumb your nose at the king without getting beheaded, you know, kind of like use comedy. There was a safe way to kind of go, hey, we're fucked, you know. And create a roadmap for each other and, you know, commonality around it. So you can all kind of, you know, rally. Next question. Please get me off of this drippy topic.
Hi, this is for Keenan Bartz. What was it like being the voice of Ansem?
That was a great pleasure, and I had no idea how impactful it would be. Doing Ansem was like, for someone who was, you know, such a peacenik, getting to play all these kind of really dark characters was like a bad joke put upon me. It was kind of really funny. I was like, why? I just want to like get a pie in the face and tap dance. What the hell? You play one crazy guy in a boat, and then you're like suddenly like, okay, I'm the demon from you know, outer space. What the hell? Okay, I'm him. I'm Ansem. So it was a curious challenge because he was so seductive. It's great, you know. And I got to really exercise voice work from that point forward. And then I went and sold Acuras with double wishbone suspension. The car of demons. It's pretty cool.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was
What?
What drew you to the movie The Mask?
It was funny. It was crazy. And a really logical, like probably the smartest logic story behind a zombie film. Mad cow disease. Completely logical. Right? Mad cow disease will turn you into a zombie. Bad meat would turn you into a meat eater, so to speak. Smart. He is. Anyway, Micah, do I get to pick? Is that me? Wow.
So you had the opportunity to work with David Lynch
Yes.
in season 2 of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
And you were in a handful of episodes and more of a normal character.
Yes.
What was it like working with David Lynch, and do you wish you would have had more of an opportunity to be in it longer or play like more crazier character?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Leave it to David and his genius, because at that time I was known for being, you know, nut job on a boat. I was the crazy guy you hire. You just add water, get Zane. It's like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs out at sea. That's me. He hires me to be the straight dude in a, you know, with a bunch of Looney Tunes. And that was a testament to his genius, because he just went counterpoint. Which, of course, scratched the itch for my, you know, Gary Cooper fantasies. So I got to go be, you mean I get to be him, finally? I get to be that guy? And that was really cool. And then I got to, like, you know, kiss Cheryl and Fenn and, you know,
Hard job.
save an endangered species and, you know, wear my dad's crazy sweater from the 50s.
We have a nurse.
Hi, you look cool.
Yeah, I've seen some. No, I've seen some of your paintings that you've done before.
Oh, yeah?
What would you do? What is unique to the creative process for you in your abstract work?
What my creative process?
Yeah, what is unique to you, and what makes it?
I still didn't understand that. What unique to do?
Yeah, no, what's unique that you bring to
What
the
is
process?
unique that you do?
That you put into it.
The paintings.
I get it. All right. No.
God.
I approach painting much like acting, and acting much like painting. They're improvisations to a degree. They are, there's a degree of controlled chaos. And I welcome beautiful accidents. So, you know, I let what happens happen. They adhere to they adhere to some structure and some degree of semblance of beauty, or at least my sense of aesthetic and balance. But then should, you know, my neighbor back over it with their car, which happens, I paint outside on the ground. It might just look all right, which happens, and I've asked them to do it again. So, yeah, improv.
Up here in the front.
One of my favorite movies is Head of Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anybody else that you would like to work with if you haven't?
Is there anybody else you'd like to work with that you haven't?
She said left. Which I thought was funny. I'm nearly done with all of them. Boy, my time. Just kidding, darling. Oh gosh, so many. There's so many talented people. God, all of them. Everyone who's in a, you know, big movie that would have me in it. No. Yes, actually, yes. All of them. All those great working actors.
Have you worked with Quentin Tarantino yet?
I haven't. But I'm a big fan, you know. Super talented cat. I imagine when I'm older, he'll go, hey, I loved you in Demon Night.
That's exactly what he said.
He'll
too.
say, get your walker and come on over to my house. I want you to be a bank robber. Right over.
Hey, Billy.
Hold on. Right here. Hello.
I have an existential question for you.
Nice.
Okay, in Zoolander and Zoolander 2, you make brief cameos, and it's funny when it says, this is my friend Billy Zane. It wouldn't be funny if you said, this is my friend Tom Cruise, this is my friend Brad Pitt. There's something funny about it being you. You become the punchline in that moment. Do you have any thoughts on your place in pop culture for being funny in that moment?
Good night, folks.
No. I think it's a physics question. Because it occurred simultaneously, perhaps. The moment it came out of Owen Wilson's mouth, which was improvisational, and he just suddenly found the full name and use of the full name Billy Zane, for some reason, in that scene, which we all went, like, why are you saying my name? And just kept in the scene. At which point it was then repeated, like, okay, we're gonna just instantly do this. Are we doing this? Yes, we're doing this, was the silent dialogue that was occurring between us. It all happened in real time and without much decision. It was forever affirmed that that was a thing. So it was unplanned and just sounded funny. And then it became actually funny. And I don't know what to say about that. It just became, and then the way Derek would say Billy Zane, it was just like, it just became funnier. And never, I don't know. I feel honored to have a funny sounding name in the mouth of Derek Zoolander, and ever grateful to be cemented in history for that very thing. It's it's the gift that keeps giving, and I'm grateful for it.
Can you do blue still?
No.
I need that in here.
I'm very tired.
Have you been on any cruises or done any cruise cons? You would be hilarious on a cruise con trip.
They won't let me aboard.
I thought so.
I'm sorry. I can't charter a boat to save my life. My vacations are hell. It's hard. I try. Sailing, nothing. Motor, on the gangplank, they're like, no, not you. Not you, I'm sorry. I don't have a good history with both. Yes?
Who's like the rudest person?
Can you put that a little closer to
I
you?
don't know how to use this, I'm sorry.
You put it close to your mouth.
No comments?
Who's the rudest person you've ever had to work with?
Wow. Blunt
You
and to the point.
You kids today. The internet. Oh God. I don't know. I don't hold that. I couldn't even tell you. It rolls off me, babe. Yeah. I don't, it's like, I was saying, you know what? I suggest you practice it. It really, if that stuff stays with you, get off Twitter and just let it roll off, babe. I'm serious. It's just like, it doesn't process. It doesn't land. I mean it. You know, I don't know what to tell you.
I've always kind of put you in the same grouping with like Gary Oldman, because when I see you on screen, I don't see Billy Zane. I see the character that you're portraying. I mean, you were fantastic in Tombstone. You just very much become that character. I was wondering if you have like a specific method that you use every time you go into any sort of part, or like do you look for inspiration for everything that you do, or how do you kind of approach parts when you receive them?
Thank you. It's a very nice question, and it's curious that I actually did a very unique film with Gary Oldman called Dead Fish, with Terrence Stamp. That if you might not have seen it, you can look that one up. And I've actually played probably the most immersive character I've ever played in that film. An English, I guess, kind of bagman for hitmen. And I kind of did this Alec Guinness-like voice. And had these crazy Swifty Lazar-like glasses or something. It was a wild character, really, really fun. But that was a definite immersion. And Gary's lovely to work with. He's a wonderful, wonderful actor. Lovely man. My process is, it pulls from a technique. There's a great teacher I worked with named Jeremiah Comey, who had an interpretation that drew from the Meisner technique, I guess, which was, listening and following the follower. And fundamentally, it wasn't the writer's best friend because you kind of throw out punctuation and words that have normally a lot of, that are loaded. So when you work in a style, the I love yous, the I hate yous, the ideas behind words, and you just listen to the person you're with, and suddenly, when you're in a scene, where they're at, there's, happy, sad, angry, scared, love, there's pretty much 5 emotions. You kind of tune in where they're at, and we don't often say what we really mean or feel in life. Same with characters. And if you're really listening and tuning in, you can lock into the emotion, not the words. And often, sometimes the complete opposite emotion will come out, or line read, or reaction to what the words are. And it makes it kind of interesting. Now, actors will sometimes intentionally play the opposite, because it's unique and kind of fun. It's a good trick. And you can still make that believable. But I try to be as present and in the moment as possible, bring as much of myself to that moment without just playing me and reacting to what is, not get too stiff. And then you just deal with, again, the beautiful accidents of something, falls or drops, or they do something differently. You're nimble, you're not too stuck. Kung fu term, I think Bruce Lee coined, was log on water, which I read about. You're firm, but you're fluid at the same time. Yeah. Look up Comey, though, if you get a chance. He's good.
So I think we have time for one more question. Who is it gonna be? Ready?
Someone in the back with 2 hands. Do you win? Oh, you're up. I'll do 3 quick ones. Do it fast. Speak, Dave. What do you got?
You mentioned really liking voice work, and you have a fantastic voice. Have you ever thought about doing audiobooks? I'm a librarian, I have to ask.
Audiobooks?
Audiobooks. You have such a versatile voice, and...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. What would you like me to read? What?
Anything Stephen King!
Oh, okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
Back here in the back.
Yes, sir.
Talk about your experience working with Robert Zemeckis and Michael J. Fox on Back to the Future.
Hot dog. That was an amazing experience. Just geniuses both. Michael J. Generous, super generous actor. Started my career doing it. I was 18. My first job, Back to the Future. Around, part 2, ramped up with it. Got to play again. Loved them both. Zemeckis on 2, got to watch him use all the new tools of the day. Great sense of humor. Generous men. Yeah, I mean, the love people have for that film is insane. I felt very, very blessed to have been, a small part of that incredibly historic franchise, to say the least. One more, who you got?
Beetlejuice.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, man. Hey. You look awesome.
Actually,
No.
I'm a lady.
No, you gotta do it in character.
What?
There you go.
Okay. What role do you consider to be your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, wow, thank you. Tricky. Very proud of the work in Dead Calm because it kind of set the bar for me personally. I was at a place where I had to I went for it in a weird way, and it was just at that time, established, I was so wonderfully directed and supported, and had such wonderful actors to work with, and the nature of that film was so contained. But it was, I was very proud of that work. I was only 21 too, so I was like, I knew just enough and just not enough, I had to try some crazy things. So that was a very important role for me. The Phantom, I have to say, was the most important to me because I knew what that character meant. And for years before, it was the only comic I collected. I felt the world needed that character. I was by no means in the position to have made it when I wanted to make it. Years had passed, but I held in my heart that I would play this role and felt I willed it to happen. It was kind of cool. It was that meant the most to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much.